Hi there, welcome to Ultra Crazy Running Adventures. This morning I'm going to talk about traction aids, the sort of things that you might want to think about if you're running or even just walking on ice and snow. It gets talked about quite a bit this time of year by runners, particularly when we're in the UK. We don't see a lot of ice and snow on the ground, but sometimes in January you want to get out there and you find it's snowed or it's icy and you're a bit wobbly and you need to stay safe. Okay, so I'm going to run through the traction aids briefly. The first ones I've got are already on my feet, and that's just a decent pair of trail shoes. They don't tend to work well if you're hitting ice, and that's where you've got to think about something else. If you're hitting ice, you've basically got three options. The first of these is a pair of dedicated snow and ice running shoes. These Inov-8 Aurochs, and they're basically like a trail shoe, but they've got titanium little studlets, little tiny studs in the base. They only stick out about 1 millimeter or so, but they give you the extra traction. Now you can get versions of spiked trail shoes for a lot of normal regular trail shoes. So for instance, Hoka do a spiked version of the Speedgoat. And the top tip is, if you look around for these in the spring when the weather's getting warmer and nobody wants them anymore, you often get them on decent discounts. The second option you've got is coil traction aids or spring traction aids. These are Yaktrax, and they basically are traction aids that are part rubber and part metal. These have got little springs and you put them over the bottom of your shoe. And thirdly, you've got micro spikes. These are basically little crampons, and they attach to the bottom of your shoe in the same way. So these are the Aurochs. They're a pretty nice, pretty lightweight shoe. You can see the little micro spikes in the bottom there. They are really quite tiny, and it's surprising they make a difference. I get a real buzz every time I put these on, because it usually means I'm somewhere cool, literally, and I'm going for a run somewhere exciting. Let's see how we get on. I just love running with the dedicated ice shoes. I mean, they feel super comfy to me. I've never run many miles on them. I tend to do relatively short runs on proper ice and snow, but they've always felt great. When you get to sections of ice, they provide good traction. You can slide a bit, but it's pretty good traction, and they are, you know, super comfy. And these are the Yaktrax. So you can get other makes of these, you can get other sort of formations. They've got these little springs around rubber, and then a bit of Velcro that straps around the shoe. And these are the Yaktrax, the coil springs, which I've now got on my feet, and you can see there's coils sticking out there from the bases of both shoes. And let's see how they feel. I mean, they feel super comfy, Yaktrax. You kind of don't really notice they're there almost. And I'm running over compacted snow here. Feels pretty good. And there's an icy section. This is a really icy section here. So I'm running over that, giving it a little bit of a test. But actually they're still pretty firm. I'm trying to slide on the ice, it's not really letting me go. Now I'm running up this icy section here. You can see the ice is sort of glistening, and they feel pretty good. I mean, surprisingly good considering they're just a sideways spring on the bottom of your shoe. And these are micro spikes, taken out the bag. So they've also got rubber, a bit like the Yaktrax, but they've got these pretty aggressive, basically crampon type things that sort of stick down into the ice. So there we go, micro spikes in position. So this is pretty nasty icy stuff here. It's thawed and frozen again. and just running up here in the micro spikes. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Just really sure traction. I'm not sure how many miles I'd want to do in these. I've never run a long way in micro spikes. I imagine they might feel a bit tiring after a while, but there again, ice and snow is tiring. Hopefully that's given you an overview of the 4 aids you can use if you're running in ice and snow. So the first is your normal trail shoe, absolutely fine if it's compacted snow. Just be really careful if you're hitting ice, because those rubber lugs are not going to stop you from sliding. You've got the coil springs. I've got the Yaktrax with me today. Lots of other brands available. Really easy to put on and off, really light, and they provide a surprising amount of traction even when you're hitting ice. I've always been surprised by how well they've held on ice. And micro crampons, and I've got the Catula ice spikes here today. They provide ultimate traction. I mean, they just dig into the ice and make you feel really secure. I'm not sure I'd want to run miles and miles on them, and they're a bit heavier than the coil springs, but if you want ultimate protection to chuck in your bag, then those are the ones to have. And then the dedicated snow and ice shoes, brilliant for just putting on your feet when you head out the door, not really having to worry about it, just running around hitting snow, hitting patches of ice. They'll generally keep you pretty safe. If you are going to be out for a long day, or you know you're going to be hitting something that might be trickier, then maybe putting an additional traction aid in your backpack's not a bad idea. But generally the dedicated snow and ice shoe is a really good all-round comfort solution. Right, I need to head for breakfast.